A neighbor in Ghaziabad, a city in northern India, wakes up to the sound of an impact, then a second, and a third. He looks out of his window, and his three bodies lie on the pavement below. Young girls, half-sisters. Their mothers come rushing down from the ninth floor, screaming, and they collapse beside the bodies on the pavement, in tears. The girls are taken to a hospital, but all three are declared dead on arrival. Back at the apartment, the police have to force open the girl's bedroom door. It's been locked from the inside. And on the walls, someone has written in marker, "Make me a heartbroken. I am very, very alone. My life is very, very alone." On the desk, there's a 9-page pocket diary, additional handwritten notes, and a letter addressed to their father. "Sorry, Papa. I am really sorry. Read everything written in this diary. It's all here." This is the story of Nishika, Prachi, and Paki, three sisters who jumped from their 9th floor apartment on February 4th, 2026. A case that would ignite a nationwide debate about online gaming and social isolation. I'll be honest with you, for this channel specifically, I have to Google some deeply questionable stuff for research, like genuinely disturbing, censor, like why is this person searching this kind of stuff? And it's literally my job. But try explaining that to whoever might be monitoring your connection. So yeah, I looked into online privacy more than the average person probably would. And that is what led me to CyberGhost VPN. And they are sponsoring today's video, but I also want to tell you that this is something I actually use. What won me over is just how simple it is. You turn it on, it encrypts your traffic and routes it through a secure server, and that's it. It just runs quietly while you do your thing. And this isn't some niche tool. Over 38 million people use CyberGhost worldwide. It has thousands of reviews on Trustpilot, rated by over 23,000 real users. A few things I specifically like: servers in 100 plus countries, so you can change your online location in 2 clicks and unblock libraries of 40 streaming platforms. It's also great if you travel, and one subscription covers up to 7 devices, so your whole setup is protected, not just one. And you can even share with your family and friends. And the price is also one of the reasons why I am using it. Through the link in the description, it's just around $2 a month. And honestly, when I saw that, I thought, why wouldn't everyone just have this? It's less than basically anything. For something that protects your privacy every single day, it feels like one of the easiest decisions you can make. Plus, there's a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it with 0 risk and see for yourself. Link is in the description, and I really do think you will like it. All right, let's get back to today's story. When officers search the room, they find more than just the diary. The space is small, cramped. The apartment has 3 bedrooms, but despite that, the entire family of 9 reportedly slept together in a single room. This room, the girls' room, was their daytime world, their sanctuary. Posters on the walls show K-pop stars and Korean actors. Korean words are written out in careful handwriting. The diary, too, is filled with pages about Korea, K-pop, K-dramas, alternative names the girls gave themselves as part of this insular world: Maria, Eliza, and Cindy. "We loved Korean pop music very deeply," one entry reads. "We're sorry. You may not have understood how much it meant to us, but it was a huge part of our lives." Another entry: "We love Korean. Love, love, love. Korean was our life." But one line cuts through everything. Confirmed by police and reported by multiple outlets, "Death is better for us than your beatings. That is why we are killing ourselves. Sorry, Papa." The note only mentions their father specifically. "Papa, we cannot leave Korean culture. It's our life, our everything. You cannot separate us from it." And another line: "You tried to make us give up Korean. You expected our marriage to an Indian. That can never happen." The three sisters were Nishika, 16, Prachi, 14, and Paki, 12. They went by the surname Okamoto. They lived in Bharat City Society, a gated residential complex in Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh, about an hour from Delhi. Their father, Chetan Kumar, is a forex trader and stockbroker, and when the police question him, he says something that will shape how this case is covered in the media for weeks. The father told police his daughters were addicted to a Korean task-based game, that they'd been playing it for nearly 3 years, that they stopped going to school because of it, and said that when he took their phones away, they just couldn't handle it. Within hours, a name for this game had attached itself to the story: Korean Lover, along with details about 50 escalating tasks and self-inflicted death as the final challenge. Where exactly those details came from, the father, police sources, or media speculation is unclear. What is clear is that by the time police formally responded, the narrative had already taken on a life of its own. The police find no evidence of any such game, not on the phones they examined, not in the diary, not anywhere. So what actually happened? To get the whole picture of the story, let's go back to the family itself. Chetan Kumar didn't have the most conventional living arrangement. He lived with 3 wives, all 3 of whom were biological sisters. Sujata is the eldest. She's Nishika's mother. Hina is the middle sister, mother of Prachi, Paki, and a 10-year-old boy. And Tina, the youngest, also has a young daughter with Chetan, who is approximately 3 or 4 years old. Police records show that Chetan married Sujata around 2010. He married her sister Hina in 2013. Then he met Tina when he was working in credit card services, and she was his employee. The two married around 2023. For some reason that can't currently be discerned, Chetan gave the police contradictory accounts about his marriages. He initially referred to his 3rd wife as just his sister-in-law. Then he claimed to have married Hina because Sujata could not have children. Yet, Sujata's daughter, Nishika, died at the age of 16, which means she was born long before Chetan's 2nd marriage. His statements weren't adding up. But Chetan's conflicting statements weren't the only thing unusual about this case. Neighbors said they rarely saw the girls outside. They didn't play in the park. They didn't go to school. In fact, girls hadn't attended school since 2020. Nishika had studied up to the 4th grade, Prachi to the 3rd, and Paki to the 2nd. When asked why, their father put it down to financial constraints and poor academic performance. But even this statement is questionable. India's Right to Education Act guarantees free schooling for students up to the age of 14. Yet, the girls weren't enrolled in any government school either. The reasoning behind the girls not going to school was not totally clear, but the family's financial situation was indeed grim. Chetan told police he was under severe financial pressure, though the details he offered were inconsistent. His debt, which he initially described as being somewhere between 1 and 2 million rupees, which is roughly 11,000 to 22,000 US dollars, was later revised upward. According to neighbors and police sources, the number was actually closer to 20 million rupees, which is around 215,000 US dollars. A neighbor, speaking anonymously, said Chetan had lost heavily in the stock market, and there were frequent fights in the apartment, shouting, arguments. The family's deterioration had been visible for months. Back in May 2025, 9 months before the deaths, Sujata and Hina left the apartment after a heated argument. Chetan filed missing persons reports for both of them, and they came back after a few days. And there was also another source of friction: the girls' phones. Chetan sold 2 phones belonging to the girls, one roughly 6 months before the incident, and the other he sold just 15 days before the girls died. Chetan said he needed the money to pay electricity bills and other household expenses. But for the girls, this was a disaster. They'd been using their phones to watch YouTube, to view Korean dramas on streaming platforms, to message people online. And when the phones were gone, they were cut off from that entire world. On the night of February 3rd, just hours before they died, the girls borrowed their mother's phone. What they did with it, we don't know. When forensic teams examined it afterward, looking for evidence of the Korean game the girl's father had mentioned, they found no Korean apps installed at all. And that same night, neighbors report hearing shouting from the apartment, abusive language, arguments, tensions in the house were growing, and things were escalating. At approximately 2 a.m. on February 4th, the girls locked the door to their room from the inside. According to a statement by Assistant Commissioner of Police Atul Kumar Singh, they placed a chair near the window in order to reach it. Then they jumped, one after another. Though accounts of those final moments vary slightly depending on who you ask. Some eyewitnesses say one girl jumped first, with the other two following. Another account describes what may have been one of them attempting to pull another back before all three fell. What we do know for certain is that the autopsy confirmed that the girls died from head injuries sustained in the fall. No other injuries, no signs of foul play. Before their deaths, Nishika, Prachi, and Paki were inseparable. They did everything together, ate together, hung out in the same room, spent their days watching the same shows, and talked about their shared dreams. By all accounts, they had absolutely no social life outside of each other. No school friends, no neighbors they talked to. And during the COVID-19 lockdowns, they retreated even further into their online world. The diary reveals girls who felt completely alone, despite being together constantly. At times, it felt like that world mattered more to us than anything else around us, one entry read. They wrote about wanting to visit Korea, about feeling like they didn't belong in India, about the Korean identities they had built for themselves online. The diary also mentioned their frustration that their father was introducing Tina's young daughter to Bollywood instead of Korean culture, a grievance that seemed to cut deep. But the police also discovered something about Chetan Kumar's past that adds a darker layer to the investigation. Back in 2015, 11 years before the sisters' deaths, Chetan was living elsewhere in Ghaziabad. He was already married to Sujata and Hina, but he was also in a live-in relationship with another woman. And that woman fell from the roof of their apartment building. She died. The police investigated, and the circumstances were initially considered to be suspicious, but the police eventually ruled it a self-inflicted death, and the case was closed. Now, there is no proof whatsoever linking the 2015 death to what happened on February 4th, but police said they are factoring it in, not to suggest foul play, but to better understand the atmosphere in the house these girls were living in. What was it like to grow up there? And does that help explain why the three girls saw no other way out? Nishika, Prachi, and Paki jumped to their deaths in the early hours of February 4th. The autopsies were performed the same day, and by that evening, their bodies had already been cremated. Chetan performed the last rites himself. Police found the speed of this process unusual. People usually don't move to cremation so quickly. When asked, Additional Commissioner of Police Atul Kumar Singh only said it may have been due to personal reasons. Some neighbors also found it suspicious. One told reporters that Sujata, Nishika's mother, allegedly said while crying beside the bodies that she would expose everything. However, that account remains unconfirmed, but Sujata and Hina gave no statements to the police. Only Chetan spoke to the media. Only Chetan shaped the narrative, which means we don't yet know anything about what Sujata and Hina have to say. Police examined the bedroom, the diary, the notes on the walls, their last letter. Fingerprints from the handwritten notes were sent to the Forensic Science Laboratory, and that report is still pending. Cybercrime units are using IMEI numbers to trace the phones Chetan sold. Police later recovered one of them and sent it for forensic analysis, though the results haven't been made public yet. And in the absence of concrete evidence, the media narrative about the Korean lover game continued to spread. And here is what those reports claimed. Korean Lover is allegedly a task-based interactive game with 50 challenges. The tasks supposedly start off harmless, watching videos, changing profile pictures, adopting Korean names, but escalate to self-isolation, cutting off family, self-harm, and ultimately self-inflicted death. Some reports claim the girls were trying to complete the final task, that they jumped because the game told them to. One more thing worth addressing, because it dominated Indian media coverage in a way that shaped how millions of people understood the story, the comparison to the Blue Whale Challenge. If you're not familiar, the Blue Whale Challenge was a supposed online game that circulated widely around 2016 and 2017, allegedly compelling teenagers through a series of 50 escalating tasks that ended in deaths. And this game actually caused genuine panic across India and Russia. Some deaths were linked to it, others weren't, and a significant portion of the coverage turned out to be unverified or exaggerated. The Ghaziabad case was immediately framed as Blue Whale 2.0. Same structure, same number of tasks, same vulnerable teenagers, same horrifying ending. The comparison is structurally neat, emotionally resonant, but, at least for now, completely unsubstantiated. Speaking on the topic of this game, Deputy Commissioner Patil was clear. At present, we have no evidence to confirm that the girls were using any Korean task-based application. And to go further, as of available reporting, no app called Korean Lover matching this description has been identified by investigators or cybersecurity researchers. The game theory originated entirely from media speculation and the father's claims. The girl's diary does mention games, horror games such as Poppy Playtime, Evil Nun, and others, but there's nothing about a 50-task challenge. What is confirmed is that the girls loved Korean culture, they loved Korean dramas, they built Korean identities online. They believed Korean culture was their entire life. Whether a specific game influenced their deaths, that is still unknown. As of February 2026, the investigation is ongoing. The police are verifying Chetan Kumar's claims, including his contradictory accounts about his marriages and his finances. And they're also examining the family's financial records. They're waiting on forensic reports covering the handwriting, the fingerprints, and the full timeline of events. And the case is officially classified as a self-inflicted death. 3 sisters who jumped from the window of their 9th floor apartment, and the autopsy found no evidence of foul play. But questions remain. Why were the girls cremated so quickly? What did their mother allegedly mean when she said she would expose everything? And why hasn't she given a statement to police? What about the 2015 death? The live-in partner who fell from the roof. Does that tell us something about living with Chetan? And separately, there's something the gaming addiction narrative completely buried. The diary doesn't just mention Korea, it mentions beatings. The actual line reads, "Did we live in this world to get beaten by you? Death would be better for us than beatings." And in those final days, after the phones were sold, the girls were also reportedly threatened with early marriage. Their digital world was gone. Their future was being decided for them. The Korea obsession may have been the most visible thing in that room, but it may not have been the thing that killed them. We can only speculate. Police say they're considering all angles. What we are left with is that 3 girls jumped from their apartment. They left behind a 9-page pocket diary and additional notes that showed a deep attachment to Korean culture and alleged they were suffering physical punishment. They had been completely isolated. No school, no friends, no life outside of their room. Their father had massive debts and sold their phones. The autopsy confirmed that all 3 girls died from head injuries. And speculation that a specific Korean Lover game caused this, that the girls were working through a 50-task challenge, that gaming addiction drove them to kill themselves. The police have no evidence of any such app. The truth may lie somewhere in between. Maybe the girls were using apps that the police haven't found yet. Maybe their obsession with Korean culture wasn't tied to any specific game, but to a broader online world that simply felt more real to them than their actual lives. Or maybe this was never really about Korea at all. Maybe it was about 3 girls who felt trapped, isolated, and hopeless. And Korean culture was just the thing they hold on to when everything else had slipped away. The case remains open, the forensic reports are pending, and the investigation continues. This is a strange case. Three girls relying on each other, spending years in a same room, watching the same shows, dreaming about a country they'd never visited. And they stopped going to school, stopped seeing friends. They lived entirely online until their father sold their phones. And when that connection was cut, they seemingly had nothing left. So, what do you think about this case? Do you think there is more to the story? Let me know in the comments, and that is all for today. Thank you for watching. And before you go, check out the link in the description if you want to try CyberGhost VPN. They are offering a special deal for viewers of this channel, and it comes to about $2 a month. Plus, there is a 45-day money-back guarantee, so it's completely risk-free.